Hello, welcome to this weather update. I'm going to talk about the storms that hit today, this afternoon. We already saw them building around 4 o'clock or so, 4:30. I could see them building to the north. This was taken from the bus as I was on my way out to Hicksville. And as I got to Hicksville, the skies got even darker. And darker still. And I mean really threatening looking clouds off to the north there. Some really threatening looking clouds as I was heading north. And definitely the kind of sky you might even see before a tornado even hit, which is kind of freaky. So you look at that. That's definitely Mattis right there. So this was a bona fide squall line that hit, that moved across Long Island, and then luckily I got in just before it poured, and there was some numerous close lightning strikes too. So that's one of the ones I captured. But anyway, let's get to this weather report because there was a lot of damage and a lot of power outages. All right, let's take a look at the power outage situation right now. These storms have caused a lot of damage. We almost have 15,000 power outages across Long Island right now. As you see the number here, and if we go and we look at outages by area, it'll show you again. We're going to wait for this to load, but you see the number there, 14,955. And most of the outages are in Suffolk County. A large amount of them are in Suffolk County. Only 3,000 or so are in Nassau. Suffolk has the majority of the outages, and the hardest hit areas seem to be Babylon, Islip. Babylon and Islip Town seem to have the most amount of outages going on across the area. So, all right, so we're back at the map now, and we're going to take a look and see what areas are being affected the most by these power outages. For the most part, Nassau County, not as many outages in the main central part of Nassau. It got the southeastern part of Nassau. The storms blew up as they moved eastward, south of Hicksville. I could tell you, and I could attest to it because you'll see in my video there were numerous lightning strikes south of Hicksville during these storms. That video will be up later tonight. You can see we have some outages here that are affecting. That's 69, so nothing huge here. Like I said, the bigger ones are out in Suffolk County. I'm not going to waste too much time with Nassau. Suffolk County is really hit hard. Babylon in particular, a major power outage affecting Babylon. Believe it or not, this whole area is out of power, and I think it may even be affecting the Babylon branch as well. We're going to have to look at that. So you see these outages. Literally, these are 1,083, 2,355. This is the biggest part right here. So Babylon is out of power right now. Looks like it's affecting part of the village, and just basically this whole area is out. This looks like a transmission line issue for Babylon. Of course, I'm sure that'll get reported on the news. We didn't really get any reports on the power outage. We still don't know the exact cause of the power outage that happened in Mineola yesterday. I'm assuming, and I'm taking a guess, there was a transformer somewhere because there weren't any wires down that I could see. And then we have another big outage here in Hauppauge, in the Hauppauge area, 706 and 144 outages there. And we'll just zoom it out and you'll see the map is all lit up in power outages here. We'll make our way further east. Not quite as bad once you get further east. However, there is a power outage in Quorum, the north part of Quorum. That's affecting 651 customers. And we have an outage here too in Setauket. That's a small one. Not going to really pay attention to that. But it seems like let's head out further east. We have a couple. We have an outage here in Peconic. And those wind gusts were pretty strong when it rolled through. And you know, between the wind and the lightning, it caused a lot of outages. But by far, it seems like the hardest hit area is this area right here, Babylon in particular. The storm really had it out for Babylon. So let's take a look and see what the railroad is reporting here about problems, because I think there was some problems on the Babylon branch going on. Let's see. Yes, there is switch trouble at Babylon. All right, so there's several things that happened. Let's make this a little larger so you can see. All right, there's several things that happened. There's switch trouble near Babylon. Service was suspended on the Oyster Bay branch because of fire department activity. And there was also a service suspension. Yes, there's switch trouble at Babylon. This is definitely due to that power outage, most likely. And then there was some trouble near Ron. I don't really go over these Twitter feeds too much. I don't do this as much anymore. Yeah, there was service of fire department activity, probably due to the thunderstorms. And then there was a suspension earlier. Yes, there was a very brief suspension on the Port Jefferson branch between Stony Brook and Port Jefferson due to weather-related signal trouble near Stony Brook. Buses were secured for that. But again, the storm caused some damage. I think it's a little worse than they're reporting, actually, because I read somewhere that there's nothing moving at Babylon right now. So, and I think that power outage has something to do with it. Almost positive, because that looks like a transmission line that went down. That might affect the Long Island Railroad as well. All right, so let's get started here with this, the weather part of this report. We are going to talk about the storm reports that they just put in, so we're going to look at that. There was a marine thunderstorm wind gust at Bayville at 52 miles an hour. A thunderstorm wind damage in New Canaan in Fairfield County, Connecticut. Numerous trees reported down on Brosco Road. Flash flood in Orange, New York. EMS reported flooding due to 6 to 12 inches of running water over Route 12. Thunderstorm wind damage at Southport and Fairfield. Multiple trees reported down and snapped. Bridgeport, hail. Dime-size hail reported. Marine hail at Bridgeport and another report. Wind gust at New Haven Airport of 40 miles an hour. Lightning struck a house in Trumbull. So that is what happened there with the storms. Looked like they were worse in Connecticut, but I think that there are going to be more reports coming in later. We'll take a look at the current conditions outside right now. It's still on the humid side a little bit. 70 degrees, and we have... we reached 88 degrees today at Farmingdale today, and of course, most notable with a very high dew points that we went over before. Rainfall looks like we got 1.11 inches of rain, so it's about right. You got rain for a good, it rained heavy for a good half an hour, so these storms weren't moving that fast. We'll take a look at islip. I have a feeling islip, that number might be higher. So 74 at islip, dew point 74, and they hit 88 today. Again, look at those 77-degree dew points. And rainfall, not as much, 0.30. Interesting. So, not as much rainfall there. We'll move further east. I have a feeling it's going to be even less when we look at the rainfall for Shirley. So, 74, and no rainfall at all being reported right there. So, however, I think the storm's completely missed that area. Let's go and look at Bridgeport. I'm curious to see what the rainfall was in Bridgeport, because that was the area that got hit hard. So 0.91. All right, so generally about an inch of rain from these storms. And we'll go to Tom's River and look over there. And 81, still 81 there. Much hotter, of course. Now Tom's River was hell today. It actually hit 97 degrees at Tom's River. Look at that. I'm going to make that larger just in case you can't see. 97 degrees at Tom's River. And look at the dew point. 79. Dew point of 78, 77. That means it felt at times. Let's see where that 97 was, or around this time. If it got close to feeling like 110 degrees in Tom's River, which is way worse than anywhere else in the area. Way worse. Definitely not normal. Even for Tom's River, but they're really, speaking of an uninhabitable place to live in the summer, Tom's River is definitely it. I don't know how anyone can live there. I really don't. Monmouth Airport, 76, and the temperature, not as hot there, see 94. Dew point still reached 78, so some very high dew points over New Jersey. It seemed like they got the worst of that. We'll now take a look at the radar and see what's going on with the radar as far as the storms go. Looks like they're starting to move offshore now, so let's see what is going on here. We're gonna, some reason I have to do that first now. It doesn't want to run it. The radar is slow loading. Just hold on a second and we'll get to it here. Alright, yeah, it looks like there are a couple of isolated storms, but for the most part, that's the thing, Tom's River didn't even get the rain, so really, you think with the conditions there, you'd think they'd be getting some thunderstorms, but no. Alright, this is what's moving offshore now, so you can see, for the most part, the east end is just getting light rain. So now we jump over to Hurricane Florence. Let's go to the Hurricane Center website and take a look at what Florence is doing. So Florence has weakened quite a bit, actually. It is weakened down to a Category 1. All right, that's some good news. It's some really good news. Weakened down to a Category 1, down to 80 miles an hour. So again, it's weakening because what I think is going on, and we're going to actually talk about this in a little bit, I think it's still going to strengthen back up again once it gets over the warm water. I really do. So Florence has weakened, and we're going to actually read the public advisory for Florence. And again, here's the track, and you can see it takes it toward the east coast. That's very concerning, of course. I'm going to read the advisory on it. You know what? We're not going to read the advisory on it. You get the information that you need to know, pretty much where it is, how powerful it is. I want to really look at it on satellite. So let's take a look at this on satellite. Oh yeah, you can see it's definitely weakened. Look, remember how it looked yesterday? It's definitely weakened, and this is because it's moved over a small patch of cooler water. It's undergoing some shear, and it's also ingesting dust. That's right, it's ingesting dust. If we go and we look at the high-resolution satellite, all right, here it is on the satellite. You can see it's weakened quite a bit. What's going on is it's ingested some dust. Look at this cloud of dust here off to the right. This sand that's coming off the Sahara. Well, it actually managed to get ingested into the storm, and it actually weakened the storm. If we go and we look at earthnullschool.net, you'll see what I mean. So there is Florence. You can see it on earthnullschool.net. But what we are going to do is we're going to change this view over to look at the dust. So we're going to go to particles, dust, and look at this. So if I go and look at this, you'll see what I mean. Look at that. So it's actually ingesting dust. This is a miracle, actually. It's a miracle. Maybe it will keep the storm weak, but I have a feeling as it moves westward, it will be a different story. But you can see, look at this dust. And some of it's pretty thick, or sand. I'll call it sand, or whatever. It's blowing off the Sahara. This has been keeping the Atlantic quiet for a while, but Florence was able to form. But now it's ingesting some of this sand, and sand and dust into a hurricane generally weakens it, and that's what I think is going on. So that's some really good news. That's some really good news. But I still think it's going to strengthen back up again once it moves over the hotter water here and away from this dust. So now let's take a look at the models. We'll start with the GFS. This is the 18Z run, and we'll see what it does with Florence. You can see that ridge right there, and the problem is you see that ridge coming down. Here it comes, and what's going to do, this ridge is going to block it from moving out, and instead push it toward the coast. And you can see it starts off, you know, weak, but then as it moves west toward us, it's going to strengthen again into a monster because of the warm ocean temperatures. And let's see how it tracks. It looks like it's going to track offshore on this run. It comes close, it makes a threatening turn, but then it looks like it gets pushed offshore. Oh, it does a loop-the-loop. Look at that. And then it goes away. So that is what could happen there. It does a loop-the-loop. You can see that it does a loop-the-loop, but it stays offshore, and then it goes out. So that is the GFS, of course. We're still a long ways off. It's still close. But it's encouraging to at least see it's not hitting land, though it looks like the poor folks in Bermuda might have to deal with this storm passing possibly just to the south. All right, so that is the GFS. And we will go and look at the Euro now and see what the Euro has. The Euro obviously looks a lot different, so we'll look at the Euro, and yeah, we can keep it at this level. That's fine. We'll look at the Euro and see that it also forms some more storms over here as well. The Euro is still tracking now. This is the 12Z Euro run. The Euro run, unfortunately, has it still coming very close to us and doing that loop-the-loop offshore, but it coming a lot closer and hitting Delmarva and then looping around offshore. That's the Euro, all right? And none of these models have been consistent at all. None of them have been consistent. But anyway, we're going to look a little closer here. We're going to go and change the regions to our area just to show you again what this looks like closer. You know, this storm is a monster, as you can see, and it looks like the Euro has it hitting now more southward and has it hitting skirting the North Carolina, Virginia, Outer Banks area, and then heading up off Delmarva, and then heading offshore and kind of just sitting. Um, who knows what's going to happen. I really I don't want this storm coming here. I mean, it's going to be a mess. All right, it's going to be very bad for us. So, let me change to the GFS. We're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the GFS, the wind, and see the wind field on this storm. You could see it's quite the monster. So here it comes, but it's staying offshore. But you can see GFS has this thing at least a Category 3, maybe Category 4 hurricane. And then it kind of just loops it out, and it loops it around out to sea. It'd definitely be rough surf under this scenario, but this scenario pretty much is the better scenario because it doesn't hit land, it doesn't hit us, and it goes away eventually. And that is what's important, is to have this thing go away and not hit Long Island. I do not want to see. I know sooner or later we will get hit on Long Island. I do know that, but I don't want to see it. And like I said, I have nowhere really else to go. I mean, everything that's important to me is on this little island. Or it's not a little island, but I mean everything that's important to me in my life is on Long Island. And I don't want to really be anywhere else. Don't want to be in Flagstaff. I don't want to be in New Jersey. I don't want to be anywhere else but Long Island. All right. So hopefully, I know it will happen eventually, but I hope when we do get hit, at least it's not worse than a Category 3. Long Island's had Category 3s. We had the hurricane of 38, but 4 or 5, that would be unheard of. Anyway, let's look at the current forecast here, the current weather that we'll be dealing with because we're not really going to have a good idea about this storm until we get toward the weekend, I think. I really don't think we're going to have more of a positive idea as to where this thing is going. But anyway, you can see here we have a stall front syndrome for the weekend. Stall front off to the south. Rain probably more likely over New Jersey. And then as we go into the Sunday, maybe we might be able to eke out some dry periods. You can see there's that high building down. They're going to have beautiful weather in Maine. If you can go to Maine, go to Maine. I would even pick Maine over Flagstaff because they're going to have beautiful weather there. Beautiful. It'll be really cool. Highs in the 60s, sunshine. It's going to be beautiful. Anyway, as we go into Monday, you can see that storm there. That this is an accompanying cold front here, and that's a trough, and it moves it far enough east now. Because it leaves it far enough east that helps keep this offshore, and it doesn't come here. And then after that, we've got looks like a beautiful air mass moving in. So this is not until the 18th of September, of course. But hey, So let's go look at the dew points. Let's see how the dew points will be coming down across our area. So back it up over here. So here we are into this evening. Here, it's still high dew points, but they're going to start going down as we go into Friday. Here comes the drier air, but again, we're going to be on the very periphery of it. We're going to have dew points into probably still in the 60s. The drier air won't be until you'll have to go further north into England. Jersey, unfortunately, they're going to still be suffering with some humidity. It's not until we get later into the day because this front is hung up. It really doesn't really want to move through completely or more completely until Saturday. And then we start getting into the drier air. Then it starts getting more comfortable. And we have, again, an easterly flow. It's going to be plenty of clouds, but it's going to be very comfortable out with these low dew points. And then next week, the dew points come back up again with that southeast-south flow. And hopefully, you can see that tropical air. There is Florence, and it keeps it offshore. So hopefully it keeps it offshore. And then after she leaves, look at that. We'll get some really nice air for us. If the GFS is right, of course. All right, we'll look at the temperatures. Go to the temperatures. All right, and see the temperatures. See what the GFS says for temperatures tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot cooler, for sure. We're gonna be in the 70s, probably 75 to 80. So a lot cooler. Saturday, even cooler, only low 70s. All right, and Sunday, look at that, only around 70. So this is gonna feel really nice. And then for Monday, the humidity returns, but it's still not that hot. Temperature still in upper 70s, which is pretty good. And Tuesday, let's see what Tuesday has. Yeah, things start to heat up a little more. Tuesday, we have temperatures into the mid-80s and maybe around 90 in parts of New Jersey. And same thing for Wednesday. And then it starts cooling off as we get toward the Thursday, Friday. and that air mass behind the system actually, which would be, yeah, that it looks really nice. But next week we're still going to be dealing with above normal temperatures, and it really sucks because it's not supposed to be in the 80s even. It's not supposed to be humid. It sucks for the kids in school. A lot of the schools don't have air conditioning. Maybe only some of the richer areas probably have air conditioning, but a lot of areas don't. So I'm going to just go to the last model here, which will be the NAM. I know we're going to be stuck in the clouds, so I'm not even going to look at the clouds for the weekend. I just want to look at the temperature for the NAM. All right, so we go into tomorrow, and you see that cooler air coming in right there. NAM's a lot cooler, the temperatures. So that's why it's interesting to look at the different models. And look at that, it's only 70 with the NAM. And then Saturday, look at that. Saturday, only around 70 degrees. Sunday, maybe not even 70, maybe only in the 60s. And the dew points, let's look at that. Let's look at the dew points. I could look at the clouds too if you want. So we go on to Friday. See, there's the front. So yeah, unfortunately, still has some humidity over us. They're slowly coming down. The dew points will slowly come down tomorrow. Temperature is going to be the big drop tomorrow. Dew points probably don't drop more until Saturday, and then we see that bigger drop. Dew points, 50s and 40s, and to the north, 30s for dew points. That's fabulous. That's what we like to see. Lots of dry air, All right, the last part, we'll go and look at the clouds. Actually, this one doesn't have the clouds. This one's not showing the clouds. All right, not this run again. Not this. It's one of these that does show the clouds for the NAM, but I think I know why. Gotta do this. All right, there we go. All right. I don't like using the higher resolution for the dew points. All right, so you can see here. You see there's that front stalled out, but it looks like if you're over Maine, you'll get a clear day on Saturday, and same for Sunday. But we'll be stuck in the clouds. Maybe some breaks, but it's going to feel a lot more comfortable out, and that's the main thing. So I'll have another update for you tomorrow. We'll be tracking Florence. Hopefully it doesn't come here. I was having a little anxiety over it last night. A little anxiety attack, actually. I'm not going to lie. I was having a major anxiety attack over it. But hopefully she stays away. I pray she stays away. I know one day we're going to get hit. I just don't want it to be now because the water temperatures are really warm, and it would be a very bad time to get hit. If we'd better to have at least the water temperatures cooler, so at least the storm would weaken and we wouldn't get, creamed with a Category 4. Category 1, Category 2, that I can deal with. Category 3 is sort of a little difficult, but anything up 4 or 5, forget it. That's a disaster. You don't want to deal with that. But for the South Shore, even a Category 1 is going to be a problem. But that's why I don't live on the South Shore. Some people would rather live there just because they're afraid of people that are different than them, but they're stupid. Anyway, that's going to be this. That's going to be this weather update. So take it easy.